Try to kill me when I fought back. I cracked the scars with a baseball bat. But justice will never make this right. I need to run and stay out of sight. Had no choice, it was me or them. Now for a lifetime I'm condemned. I have to forget my old set way of life. I'll go to prison or die by the knife.
Bada bing, bada boom. And we are now recording the first episode of Spoopy Warrior Sessions, or whatever we fully decide to call this podcast. But yeah, welcome. Obviously, we got Sasquatch, we've got Adobe Kenobi, we've got Adobe Kenobi being me, and everything's gonna be great. So we wanted to do like an introduction episode, being like favorite scary movies, what we want to see more in like just horror in general, and then the what we would call like the greatest horror movie character, scary movie character of all time, at least to this point. But yeah, Jordan, you have anything you want to say before we get started?
I just want to say thank you for, including me in this, because I'm pretty excited for it. I've never done a podcast before. I've been interviewed for a podcast, but I've never myself done a podcast. So this is pretty exciting. I wouldn't say I'm like a horror movie fanatic. So if I don't have knowledge that would be like to some people super typical or mainstream, then I do apologize. I do love horror movies. I love, scary movies and all of that. But I'm not super, like, dove into it. Just, as a fair warning to the people that are super into it.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm kind of the same. Like, obviously, there's certain movies that I love. I know some stuff about horror. But we're really kind of just making this up as we go. And I mean, there'll be more stuff. I'm sure that, if anybody gives us recommendations on movies or whatnot, we can watch them and probably do reviews or something on them. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, we really wanted to thank you guys for all the support that you've given, not only me, but also Sasquatch. And, I mean, without you guys, we literally could not have done any of this.
Honestly,
we're at a point to where we are far more successful than we ever thought we would be. At least I know for me that's the case. I know, Jordan, you do feel the same. But yeah, so I mean, without further ado, let's go ahead and start with our top 3 scary movies. Jordan, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I will let you go take the reins on this one.
Okay. So I would say that like we're doing a top 3, by the way, to everybody. And I'm starting out with one that's a little what's the best way I can say it? It's a very weird scary movie, and that's A Cabin in the Woods. This is also something I actually just watched recently. Watched this movie about a week ago. And the entire premise, to anybody who doesn't know, is like all these teens go to a cabin in the woods. Ha ha, hee hee, ho ho. And they basically, it's a horror movie developing like as the movie's going on. And I know that sounds really weird, but there's like an agency that's behind certain horror movies happening. And so it's like they take these random people, they throw them in this area, and like whatever they pick up or kind of mess around with first, there's all these items. And whatever item they kind of mess with first or whatnot, that determines kind of like what's hunting them. And the thing is that there's a literal ton of other Easter eggs and references to other horror movies. Like you see zombies, you see... oh man, what was it? There was like Ghostface, there was Jason, there's zombies, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they have just listed on this whiteboard of stuff that can happen. And The cool thing to take it into perspective of gaming is that there's a Left 4 Dead Easter egg in the game or in the movie where you see a boomer, a witch, a smoker, and I think a jockey at one point. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, it's weird because this agency basically revolves around like sacrificing these people, and they all have specific roles. So there's one that's like the virgin, which is really funny. There's like the nerd. There's all these different roles, and literally every person has to fill that role. They have to kill that person with whatever they choose. And the reason they do that is to like satisfy these gods or entities or whatnot that if they don't have this like blood sacrifice, they destroy the earth. And so it's a really weird movie, really trippy. It's on Hulu. It might be on Netflix or any other streaming platforms, but if you guys haven't seen it, I would take a look at it.
Wait, what is it called one more time?
It's called A Cabin in the Woods.
I feel like I've seen that, but I can't remember.
It's
But
entirely
even just from your
possible.
description, I don't remember it, but the name sounds familiar.
Oh, the weird thing is that they also have unicorns in the movie. Like, I'm not gonna say when they
What the?
pop up. Yeah, like a unicorn legitimately kills a guy with its fucking horn. I'm
Would
like,
that be
that's.
considered a Deadpool reference?
I mean, you know what? Yeah, I'll take that as a Deadpool reference. That'll make me happy. Fuck it.
Oh god.
But Jordan will go to you for yours.
So in my top would definitely be The Hills Have Eyes
Ooh, that's good.
because I love gore and people getting chased and then get their feet bit off and eaten and you know if I'm not mistaken, if you get that blood in your system, then you become one of the cannibalistic, psycho people as well. I haven't seen it in forever, but I just, you know, and the way that they would torture some people, and again, if I remember right, there was someone that was like trapped in an RV, and they would like drill their legs and shit, and just like stuff like that. I love it to the point where I probably shouldn't.
To the
And huh?
Oh, I was gonna say to the point of like I need to call you and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you're like watching The Hills Have Eyes. Oh, how is it? It's the greatest movie of all time. And I'll be like, "Oh well, okay. I'll talk to you later."
Not, it's to the point where like someone will be getting like chopped up and all like dismembered, and people are like, "Oh my god!" Like covering their eyes, covering their kids' eyes, and over here laughing my ass off.
You're just like, cut, cut, cut.
It's happened before where like someone got like really mangled, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's terrible!" I'm laughing, and I've gotten some looks before, and I've definitely had some people be like, "Are you kidding me? How can you laugh at this?" I'm like, "How can you not?" But so that's one of mine. So I guess we'll take it back to you.
All right. The funny thing is like I've also had that moment where you're in a movie theater, you're watching this scary fucking movie, um, and just like something happens and it makes you laugh your ass off. Um,
Right.
Specifically, that was with my number two being Texas Chainsaw Massacre, um, because especially in the new one or the newest one, I think it came out years ago, um, maybe like 6 years ago. And there's one point in the movie where I'm trying to remember this all correctly. Like there, you see Leatherface's like meat coolers and all that crap. And there's a girl who is like presumed to be dead, or we all thought she died. And there's an officer who's going through like the thing. He finds it. He's just walking through. Everything's real, just spooky. You hear that background music, the duh, and this girl, she shoots up out of like this fucking icy bath or icy coffin, some bullshit, and she scares the cop, and like she's still alive, and the cop just shoots her in the face. I don't know, like if you look up the scene, it's actually a lot funnier when you see it because she's like, he's like, death, and
Thing.
I was laughing my ass off. It was I went to go see that movie with our friend EJ, and I was laughing my ass off, and he looked at me. He's like, "Are you good?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry, but like random shit like that, where it's completely unexpected, and then there's just like a random hit out of nowhere. I don't know why, but it's immediate to just making me laugh my ass off." And that's not to say that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is all rainbows and sunshines and hee hee ha ha's. I mean, obviously, it's like a really gritty movie, but at the same time, that movie kind of made me be like, oh shit, okay, so Leatherface is, kind of a badass. Okay, like I know everybody goes into certain horror movies and they think like, oh, okay, that was okay, this character's okay. But like Leatherface honestly got brought up a lot to me in that movie, like on my own like list of like your like top 5 characters, because like beforehand I was like, oh, okay, he doesn't yeah, he wields a chainsaw, but if I can just outrun him, he's basically no better than the fucking leprechaun, and I fucking hate the leprechaun so much.
Oh, that's fucking leprechaun.
It's so fucking dumb. They made a leprechaun in the hood, which we're not going to get into right now. We'll save that for another episode. But yeah, no, I love that movie. A lot of the kills in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre were really, really well done. Like, I think there was a point where Leatherface even like tossed his chainsaw at a cop and it decapitated him, and I was like, that was really cool. Like, to see how it was shot, I was like, that was fucking awesome. But yeah, like I also do love the blood and gore, all of that crap, which, I mean, depending on like certain things, I'm like, oh, okay. Like those movies can, for some reason, they fool me every time because they don't go by your normal like, don't be alone, don't do this, don't do that. Like I was literally sitting at one point in the movie and I'm like, oh, okay, these two are gonna be fine, and then literally just out of nowhere, fucking death, and I was like, I actually thought they were safe. And I don't know. I think that's just really cool. Like, because there's not a lot of surprises in horror anymore. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my number 2. Jordan, will take it back to you.
Well, I wanted to say I do definitely really enjoy when it's like the characters have this false sense of security, like, oh, I'm fine, and then like they get decapitated, or someone comes up behind them and slits their throat, or they step on a landmine. Like, well, you thought.
I love that so much. Ooh, sorry, I'm yawning.
It's okay, and I know this is probably a more mainstream favorite to have, but I love the Saw series because I love so much how Jigsaw puts people against each other. And it's like, well, are you gonna help yourself? Are you gonna help this person to help you? Or are you gonna help pretend to help that person, but end up betraying that person to help yourself? But then that other person gets the advantage, and now they have the choice of either helping you or helping themselves. And it's like it's such a mindfuck for the people that are in the game, and. And especially when it's like a slow kill, like they're watching whatever it is that's about to kill them, like just start cutting into them, or or they watch the person that's betraying them, like go through with the betrayal. Like I love that aspect, and on top of that, they had the story of of the killer, of Jigsaw, and trying to, well, I think they were trying to like keep him alive in order to make the game stop. But he would only put like shitty people in the game. So it was almost like Jigsaw was trying to get rid of shitty people in a really fucked up, torturous way. And I kind of dig that.
I mean, I understand that. Like it kind of reminds me of, and you'll I don't know how you'll feel about this, but it reminds me of when they had Jigsaw in like Scary Movie 4, and they have Dr. Phil and fucking Shaquille O'Neal in the same room, and he's like, "You both play games with other people's lives," and I mean, because like I get the not the presence, I get like what Saw is going for and everything. I was never like too big on it. I don't know why, because it always seemed like really interesting. Because to me, it was always one of those movies, or at least like a series, that made you really think about like, is Jigsaw really the bad guy, or is it just humanity is as
Right.
evil as him? Because it's like you said, you can either help the person that's with you, you can basically say no, fuck you, or you can uh, quote unquote help them for a certain amount of time and then stab them in the back, and then you get out. And I think it's one of those movies that makes you think, and I do enjoy that.
Right. And and like I said too, it's not just a random person off the streets. Like it's someone that has a really fucked up criminal record, or they've done some really fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So with that, I will take it to you for your third one.
All right, so my main event, in my opinion, the magnum opus of the horror community. I feel like you know this one. I feel like it's very
I might.
predictable, and to a lot of people, it's gonna be like, "Oh, really? You chose that?" To anybody who like really knows me, they know I love this series. I love when this person showed up in Mortal Kombat. I love
I know. I already know
anything.
who it is.
I love everything that involves this character, and it's the night or Nightmare Before Christmas. What the fuck? No, Nightmare on Elm Street. I love Nightmare on Elm Street so fucking much. Literally, like the thing that I hate so much is which when like a horror movie is full just doom and gloom. And I understand that's what a horror movie is, but like my introduction to horror was the Nightmare on Elm Street. It was Robert Englund. It was Johnny Depp in that movie, who he gets pulled through that bed and that giant blood fountain shoots up. Like the funny thing is, my roommate and I, we were talking about this movie to his dad, like right after we got out of church. We all were at a Chinese restaurant, and we were talking about this movie, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot Johnny Depp was in that movie," um, and I just love this movie so much. I love Robert Englund as Freddy, and every time he goes and reprises it, literally in anything, I'm always in for it. Um, and I mean, like, I love Nightmare on Elm Street so much. It actually introduced me to one of my favorite songs, being "Dream Warriors" by Dokken, which I used in our Dead by Daylight video. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. It's so great. I love everything Nightmare on Elm Street. Even the remake was okay, and like there was a scene in the first one. He was chasing this kid Jesse. I literally just watched this scene the other day. It popped up on my recommended on YouTube, and he was chasing the kid, scares the hell out of him, and this kid Jesse, he's up against the wall, and he's like, "Why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet." And it goes away, and this kid Jesse, he's looking back and forth, just back and forth, and you think at some point like Freddy's gonna jump out in front of this dude and kill him. He's actually behind him, sticks his glove through his abdomen, and like as everybody sees him in the real world, he's dead. He's gone. But like in the dream world, he's still alive, and Freddy has him hung up, and he says, after the heart stops, the brain has like 7+ minutes of activity. You and I got a whole 6 minutes left of playtime together. And I was like, oh,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I mean it's
It's
even stuff that's
brutal.
cool like that. Like it's brutal, but it's funny. That's even why like I think one of the lines that everybody knows from Freddy so much, besides like the whole thing where he has his glove and he's like, "This is God." Um, it's that scene. I believe it's in Nightmare 3, where this one girl she just dreams of being on TV. She's like, "I'm gonna be famous. Everything's gonna be great," and Freddy appears like in her TV and then opens it and he's like, "Oh, this is your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time." And then basically just shoves her head in the TV and kills her. But I love Nightmare on Elm Street so much. There was even one of the movies he was using the effing Nintendo Power Glove to like kill one of the kids.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's
So
amazing.
with that, I'll leave number one to you, Jordan.
Um, so we are kind of like perfect opposites when it comes to our favorites. Um, and I say this is my favorite not because like this is the best I've ever seen, or you know I'll watch this over any other horror movie. It's just this is one of the main ones that got me into horror. Just like for you, it was Nightmare on Elm Street or Nightmare Before Christmas. Um, so for me, Jason Voorhees is the main guy that got me into horror, and the main the main movie that I watched that got me into it pretty heavily was Jason X,
Oh my
and
God, Jason X is so goofy. I love it.
like watching Jason X, like they would kill him and he'd be down for a short amount of time, and then like nanomites would come upgrade him, and it was just funny because like with every upgrade they're like, oh fuck, like what the hell, like what, like how the fuck are they gonna kill him again when it was hard enough to kill him the first time,
Yeah.
and that guy's robot girlfriend would have to come in, like get an upgrade and fuck him up, and then the nanobots come in again. But one scene that I thought was fucking hilarious when I think I was like a kid when I saw this. I don't remember. I know I was young, but
Mhm.
there's a part where they simulate in this like virtual reality where they simulate um, a camping trip, and these two girls are in a sleeping bag, and they're like, "Come on, you want to sleep with us?" Blah blah, and like they look away because they think that he's gonna take the bait, and then
Uh,
they look back, and he's like using one of the girls in a sleeping bag to beat up the other girl in a sleeping bag,
oh, the
like
sleeping
whack
bag
her up
kill,
against
the
the
famous
tree.
sleeping bag kill.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is amazing. So,
Oh, the funny thing is, like in the Friday the 13th game, that kill is in there.
no, really,
Yeah,
I guess I never played it enough.
yeah. I mean, we can play it more at some
Um,
point, but like I'll show you where it's at whenever we play again.
but yeah, so Jason as a killer is, I would say, like Jason and Chucky are what really got me into horror. And Jason X is a more memorable, older horror movie that I I 100% remember seeing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that does it for the list for us.
Yeah, that does it for that top three list. Now we get to move on to the things we want to see like more in horror movies, like whether it's something new or just something that used to be done but isn't quite done anymore. Uh,
Right.
yeah. I would say, oh man, I don't want to say like relatable characters because I feel like we still get those, um, even if it is just like the reboots. Um, Oh
I think
man.
they do pretty decent in relatable characters. What I want to see, like there is some of this, but I want more. Is like the really slow, painful deaths, and like the ones that like creep up on people, or like I said, the false sense of security to like just dead, and like have like their brother like watching as they walk away, like oh yeah they're safe, and then boop, dead, and they're just like it just tears them up inside.
I like that. Um, whew, yawning again. One thing I kind of just thought of right now is that I think I would like to see some stuff that's kind of like fourth wall breaking in a horror movie. And I know that sounds really goofy. Like, I'm not saying somebody like Chucky should, look into the camera and just be like, oh, I'm going to come for all of you next. Ha 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 ha. But I mean, like, if you can find a correct character for that, be it like a Freddy, um, who else? I mean, Leatherface couldn't really do that. Jigsaw might be a good one to do that with.
Yeah,
You were talking about Saw earlier. I think that would be cool if, like, the end of one of those movies, you have that puppet just being like, you all watched their demise and enjoyed it. I'm coming for you next, and then just the screen goes black. I think that would be really, really freaking cool. Even if it's like for a quick gag, I think it'd be beautiful to do that.
I feel like that'd be pretty dope. It's just like little things like that.
It's the funny thing is that everybody talks about like these big things that change movies, but really like some of the small things really do go really well with it. And I mean, those are just a couple things that we think would go a long ways in helping those movies. And now we come to the main event. Dun, 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 dun. Love it. It's the
It's the
we're
final
talking
countdown.
the fun. We're gonna be talking about the greatest horror movie character of all time. Now, this can be obviously the people that go through the movies, be it like the characters, the slashers, or like I guess you could say the survivors. Um, but yeah, so with this, Jordan, we're gonna go back to you first.
I mean, like I said earlier, my favorite of all time is Jason. I mean, just because of he's the one that got me into horror. Now, if I wanted to say my favorite based on like the method of killing, then I'd have to say Jigsaw.
Mm.
Just because of the fact that Jigsaw kills the shitty people, but makes them try to work for their freedom and like work for possible freedom, and like it's super twisted and fucked up, and half the time you know there's really no chance of surviving anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I really I like it a lot.
It also, now that I think about it, Jigsaw is like and maybe some people will kill me for this like comparison. Jigsaw kind of reminds me of Light from Death Note, because like
Oh
Jigsaw's
my god,
killing for
I didn't
like
even think of that.
because Jigsaw's killing for like a quote unquote a good reason, and I mean so is Light. So Light Yagami is Jigsaw confirmed. Um,
Oh my god.
there's gonna be so many people that kill me in the comments and everything about that, and it's okay. Um, but I mean, for like greatest horror movie character of all time, I've really got to. Oh man, I'm at an impasse here because like obviously I want to say Freddy because of already like how much I've been like Freddy's the fucking greatest. Um, but also with that, man, like I mean Michael Myers is so fucking great, so fucking cool, even though he literally for some reason that character has it out for me whenever we do Dead by Daylight. I'm always the one. Like Michael never goes like he could be chasing you, and all of a sudden, the second that a Michael sees me, it for some reason is always coming after me. I don't play as Laurie Strode. Like, what the fuck? I'm playing as Bill from Left 4 Dead, and they always are coming after me. And I'm like, fuck you guys, fuck you.
Michael Myers has it out for Bill from Left 4 Dead confirmed.
I mean, even against other Bills, he's chased me, and I'm like, what the fuck? I think he just doesn't like Adobe Kenobi. I just don't think he likes Star Wars or memes. Mike Myers doesn't really seem like a person for comedy, and I mean, not for that reason, but like, I really think I got to give like the greatest to Freddy. The way that everything goes with like Nightmare on Elm Street, everything has been really iconic about the series, kind of in the same way that Jason has. Like, I mean, there's a reason that they're the top two when it comes to the horror scene. There's a reason like we got that crossover movie, even though the crossover movie took like 10 years to come out after Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like with that, you have somebody like Freddy who is legitimately really terrifying, because like Jason is somebody, it's like, oh, okay, you can kill him in the real world and then he's dead. Like, yeah, he's a fucking juggernaut, but the second that you end him, he's fucking dead. Freddy, on the other hand, is like, for some reason, this motherfucker haunts your dreams, and that's the most vulnerable most people are, is when we're asleep. You know, and everybody's like, oh, yay, in Dreamland, everything's okay, I'm going to be safe. And then he just pops up like, no, bitch. And, like, that's the part that I've always been like, what the fuck? How did he do that? Even to the point where, like, in Freddy vs. Jason, which I feel like we need to talk about at some point when we do more movies and all that, is like he does this pinball thing with Jason where Jason's literally in the air in this one person's dreams, and Freddy's just like banging him around on all these metal pipes, and you hear this pinball noise, and Jason drops to the ground, and you hear Freddy go, oh, tilts. Like, I think the comedic timing of Freddy and the brutality of Freddy is just really cool. I mean, that's why at least he's my favorite, but that's for everybody to decide. But yeah, so you guys, that's gonna bring us to the end of episode 1 of Spoopy Warrior Sessions.
I feel fine.
What?
No,
I don't. But we want to seriously thank you guys again for literally all the support you guys have given us, for every view, sub, follow, anybody that shared the videos or that'll share this podcast with their friends. I mean, Jordan and I want to do more of this stuff. We want to be able to continue to entertain you guys, and literally with all the love that you guys have given us, we're going to be using that to push out as much content and as much stuff as we can for you guys. But we want to thank you guys seriously. Jordan, anything you want to say before we go?
First off, please, if you feel so inclined, show this podcast or, shameless plug our Twitch accounts to your mom, your dad, your grandma, your dog, the mailman, your barista at Starbucks, whoever and whatever. And we appreciate all of you. We're very thankful because we know that if it wasn't for the support that we've been having, we wouldn't be where we're at. We wouldn't be, venturing into podcasts. We wouldn't be, continuing with what we're doing. So, thank you to everyone.
Thank you guys, and we will see you next time. So you guys take care. We love you.
Balls,
But thank you guys for listening. And just remember, you guys matter. Everything about you matters. If you're feeling depressed, reach out to somebody. Um, you guys are never alone. And I mean, even if you don't want to talk to Jordan and I about what's going on, just reach out to somebody because there are people that care about you, whether or not you fully believe that.
Absolutely.
But we love you guys, and good night.